Hey Danielle, how you doing? Hey, I get it, man. I do. I totally get it. You know, and just to pump this up a step, I think, honestly, I think a lot of students go into portfolio not really understanding exactly what portfolio is. I know when I was in school, I did. So that really added this other dimension to the class that I, for one, completely understand. This isn't like any other class. This is your work. There's a lot here that is really super important stuff. And I think that it might be a couple weeks into the class before, and let me know where this hit you. But I'm thinking, in my experience, I think it's a couple weeks into the class before students realize that, wow, portfolio isn't just about, making sure I did all this work. It's so much more than that. In fact, it ends up being one of the more time consuming, and involved classes that I think students go through, as it should, of course. So I get this exactly what you're saying. So, and believe me, I'm looking forward to having a couple of days off too. All right, let's take a look at your work. This is great, and this is such a good ad to use. And I read through your stuff. This is fantastic, and you're drilling a lot of this stuff. I think that the tendency for students is to be really super optimistic when looking at ads. And I think for somebody in my position, maybe a little older and have seen more ads, I think we tend to be a little more pessimistic. So I see a lot of optimism in your, in the way that you dissected the letter. But I just want to point some things out to you that I think might help in really looking at some of the verbiage as what does it, what could it possibly mean? Okay, and as I said, there's no reason for me to go over your stuff because you really nailed it. I mean, you obviously you read through the ad and really considered this thing sentence by sentence, if not word by word. And that's why this is so successful. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to point some things out, but I want you to develop your cover letter based on this all being on the up and up. And this is a great job. Okay. That's how I want you to go for this job in your cover letter. Okay. Because I'm going to tell you something. If I were a younger designer, I would be all over this. I'd be all over it. Downtown, it looks like you're really hands-on. I love the fact that it says you're going to be doing a lot of your own prototyping, mock-ups, and shooting those mock-ups. So this is really a hands-on deal, which is fabulous opportunity. Let's take a look at some of the things they're saying. Okay, jack of all trades. That to me raises a flag about, and it could be completely innocuous, but to me that verbiage says, okay, your job description is going to be vast. It's not going to be, a basic graphic design job description. And that's fabulous for a lot of people eager to learn and grow with us. Those are all, that's pretty much boilerplate stuff right there. Proficient in Mac and Adobe, blah, 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 blah. We all know that. Man, this is interesting. And able to build mock-up packaging and take digital. So you're going to be building your actual packaging and mock-ups. That's something that I think in your statement of opportunity, maybe if you were considered if you did get called in for an interview, would start pulling out your X-Acto blades and start building mock-ups and make yourself familiar with how that works so that you can talk about it in the interview. Okay, and then digital photography, which means that you're going to have to really, really, if you're serious about going for this job, this is something you would really have to brush up on if you weren't already, proficient. I'm going to be quite honest with you. The cameras that are available and what is available today, software. I mean, it's pretty simple to shoot work as a graphic designer. It's very simple. It's not like, full blown photography where you need, you have so many variables because you're kind of in a controlled environment. So that's something you'll have to research prior to the interview here. The position is a junior level, but can be a support and creative. That, again, that goes hand in hand with room to grow. Pretty much boilerplate stuff. Ideal candidate, self-starter, blah, blah, blah. It's, you got it. I mean, must be able to effectively multitask and wear many hats based on department needs. And right, so this is pretty much like rah type stuff so far. Okay, I think that the real meat here is that it's a junior level position where you're actually going to be building and shooting mock-ups. All right, now Let's take a look at that right there. What does that mean? That means that you're going to be doing mock-up work for other designers. Are you okay with that? It is a junior designer position after all. Okay? So are you okay with that? That's what that means. That building and shooting mock-ups. Okay? And eager to learn. And that means you're going to be under the tutelage of senior designers. To what extent? That's something you'll find out later. This stuff is important too. This graphic design, product development, package sampling, prototyping, product boards, presentations, sell sheets, and I don't know what sell sheets are, and promotional materials. Web and 3D experience is a big plus. And it said web somewhere else before as a plus. So I'm not real sure how much. It doesn't sound like that sounds like it's just like something that was thrown in there, because this position does not sound like it entails any coding or any actual web designing. And here we are again, able to wear many hats, as energetic, promote, flexible, and positive work environment. Flexible work environment. That's interesting. Wow. I wonder what hours you could keep. That's a bonus right there. We've been in business for 20 years. Check this. What kind of business have they been in? That's something that I always do. Somebody's been in business for 20 years. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing what they're doing now. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, my business is totally different than it was 20 years ago. So for me to say I've been in business almost 20 years is it's better to say what you follow my thought. It's better to say, so I would look into that. Like, what kind of business? If you see something like that, been in business for 50 years, we'll find out if you've been in the same business for 50 years. Serious about being successful and understanding the importance of balancing work. Blah. I get that. Cool. All right. And then, yeah. So this was written by somebody who obviously knows how to throw the bait out there and get a lot of response. That's good. One thing about this job, and it's good, and actually it sounds like a fantastic, I like this ad a lot. Like I said, if I was a young designer, I'd be all over it. One thing I really think is very, very important to notice is right down here. Right down here. Required license or certification, driver's license. That means you're going to be driving. So that's pretty key right there. I'm guessing doing deliveries and picking things up. That would be my guess. So that's pretty serious right there. I mean, as a lot of people would say at that point right there would say, well, wait, I'm not going to be delivering stuff. I'm a designer. And look into that and take notes of all of this stuff. You get the interview and keep this stuff in your mind. And be honest. I mean, I love honest interviews. Hey, I noticed in your ad that you require a driver's license. Can I ask why? Will I be driving or delivering, or will I be expected to be driving on company time? And it's a fair question. And if anybody evades that question, then, there's an issue. But you see what I'm saying? So anything in the ad that you have is fair game for you to ask in an interview. Anything really should be fair game within protocol. Should be fair game for you to ask in an interview. Let me ask you a question. Let me tell you something about questions. Okay, if you ask a lot of questions in an interview, they're going to love you. Interviewers love answering questions, and it's really a tactic that works very, very well. The reason I'm bringing this up is I think it's very smart to completely research a company before you go into that interview, to the point where you can name where their different offices are and things like that. It's a really, really impressive thing to do, and people just love it. So, all right, good job. Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing the cover letter for this ad. So let's get that in ASAP, please. We're really crunching down here, and I'd like to see that definitely before. Well, boy, I'd like to see it like today. I'm mostly, don't worry about design right now, Danielle. You got time. Just give me the meat of the cover letter based on this ad. That's what I really need to see. And then you can just take your time on the design. I know you're working on branding, as a couple of your classmates are as well. All right. Awesome job. Sorry I took 10 minutes, but if you have any questions or comments, or if I can clarify anything, please feel free to let me know. Thanks, Danielle.